Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, and he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, we lead off every show asking, how are you? Fill us in. What's going on? NFL free agency going crazy today.
Yeah, if you see me checking my phone while I'm talking, while Rob's talking, it is likely because it is blowing up because of all the moves that are already happening before free agency starts. Bengals are not putting us in a good mood because other teams are making moves and other teams in their division are getting better. But luckily, the Reds are here and the World Baseball Classic is going on. That's been fun, and college
Has been.
basketball is going on. It's a very fun time of the year, specifically when we get to opening day baseball. So I'm excited for it. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, and we are only a couple weeks away from it. We'll have a new updated, I don't know, what do you call this, overlay for the new season, Joe. We're very excited for it. And season 3 of Reds Rundown, Joe. Can't believe it. Very excited for it as well. And I know you are too. So let's not waste any more time. We'll start off with what we're going to go through today. We're going to talk a little bit, obviously, about Hunter Greene. We're going to talk about what the Reds did in spring training this week over the last couple of days. We will go into some players who were sent down. The Reds' top 10 prospects list, well, 30 technically, got released. We'll talk about the top 10 here. We'll talk about the Reds' hitters, Joe. They put up double digits, almost 20 runs, 2 games in a row early last week. The offense has been on fire. We'll talk about that. The Reds also made a trade this week, which I think surprised a lot of people. We'll talk a little bit about the pitching that I think has been struggling a little more than we thought. And then we will get into the opening day starter and the games of the week, Joe. A lot of stuff to get through. A lot of quick things, I would assume, for the most part. But they all kind of tie in together, and I'm excited about it. We will also ask you guys, make sure to like and subscribe. We want to continue to grow everything here at the Reds Rundown. If you're listening as well, going to YouTube and just hitting that subscribe button does mean a lot to us, and we would really appreciate it because we want to, like I said, grow this community. Let us know in the comments section below or on Twitter the answer to today's question of the day. How much time is Hunter going to miss? It sounds like his UCL is intact, Joe, but we will have to see. We will discuss that when we are going over the opening day starter stuff. But yeah, let's just get into it. Spring training action. The Reds went 4-3 this week. Sorry, I gotta move that over. Sorry, guys, I accidentally was showing the Reds schedule there. Something you don't need to see right now. But the Reds, like I said, they went 4-3, Joe. They started off the week with a huge win, 17-9 over the Cubs. Then they played a team that they just had to change the last letter in the word to Cuba. They beat them 19-2, which is pretty crazy, honestly. Rhys Hines had a walk-off home run against the Dodgers in an absolute slugfest, 14-3. The Reds putting up a pretty significant amount of runs. It was Give me 1 second here, Joe. 34, 40, 51 runs, I believe, in 3 days, which is crazy. Then they lost to the Giants 6-3, the Royals 6-2. And then in the split squad, they would win 13-4 over the D-backs and lose 14-3, funny enough, against the Padres. Joe, what stood out to you this week? We'll talk about the hitters here in a little bit, but what was important to me, at least, is it feels like this Reds team can put up runs in bunches, which we already kind of knew, but it seems like it might be a little bit more consistent this year.
Yeah, that's kind of what stood out to me, Rob. This is a spring where there are some players struggling, but I kind of tend to drift towards the guys that we're probably most excited about, which is Ellie, Matt McLain, Sal Stewart, guys that we hope are pillars of our future. Again, I need Matt McLain to prove it to me this year, but the other guys I think haven't done anything to make me think they're not going to be that. They got 391 batting average for Ellie, 318 for Sal Stewart in his first real spring training action. Remember last year he wasn't even really on the radar to be coming up in September.
Mm-hmm.
Matt McLain, 545. That's the future. There's other guys stepping up. There's other guys who aren't playing as well. But I think when you have these guys playing at a consistent level, especially now that Gino's gone for the World Baseball Classic and
Yep.
other guys are getting at bats, they'll get better. I guess my thing is the streakiness with these guys. Like Sal, I didn't really have that issue, but Ellie and Matt McClain, I did have the streakiness issues. Suarez is gone. But to see these guys play consistently, I know it's only 8 or 9 games so far this season, is a really, really good sign. The other guys who are struggling, Marte, 217 average, I think he's going to be fine. TJ
Yeah.
Friedel, we know what to expect from TJ Friedel at this point. And there's some other guys too stepping up, just for the offensive side of things too. Like there's been home runs being hit. There's Reese Hines having a good spring. Like I feel like the depth of this team offensively is a lot better. I think that's going to be key. But I think more importantly is just if we get those guys that we expect to be stars playing like stars, and then you throw Gino back into the mix when he gets back in the World Baseball Classic, that is where this team has the biggest jump to make because we talked about it last year, Rob. Clay, an awful year. Stewart wasn't up until September. Ellie was streaky. Ellie was really good last year, but he wasn't superstar status like we had kind of expected him to. And if this Reds lineup is truly going to be better, not only does the depth have to increase, but those stars have to play like stars. So I think there's a world where with Ellie not being injured and him adding muscle, he can be that superstar. And maybe Sal Stewart, Matt McClain can be that next level down or 2 levels down from him where it's like they're like really solid players. And that is the most encouraging thing for me to see.
Yeah, I mean, if Ellie's an S tier player, if McLean and Sal, at least for this year, because I think Sal could work his way up to A easily, maybe S. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Because I think we're just going to head straight into the hitters here, Joe, and just kind of how they've been on fire. But, if the Reds can have an S tier guy with a good supporting cast of A's, B's, and C tier guys, because I would put like Spencer Steer in like that C tier category, where he's very consistent. He can bump his way up to B depending on how healthy he is. But if they can have a bunch of those guys on a team, you're going to have a lot of success. And if your bench guys are pushing for, that D, C tier, then you're going to be very happy. And like you said, like there are certain guys like Noelvi Marte, I'm not worried about like at all. Like if he's a guy who maybe just starts a little slow, that's fine. I think he is more than proven that he can and will hit, especially in like real game situations and when he's playing every day. And I think that's the same with like Friedel and a lot of these other guys. So I'm not too worried about it. But I do want to talk about, Joe, the hitters who are playing well. Well, I shouldn't just say them. Not just them. These are the hitters that I had interest in. Like you said, Matt McClain is on fire. He is 12 for 22 this spring training so far with 5 extra base hits, 1 double, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. What is really standing out to me, and the thing that we saw that he struggled with last year, not only is he hitting the ball the opposite way a lot better, but 4 walks to 2 strikeouts so far this spring. That is outlandish for him. And that is something that if I don't even expect him to keep that up, but if it's that he's actually seen the ball that well, and we know that he can, and we're seeing him get to balls that he couldn't get to, his swing has changed. I think fundamentally you will see that. He's gonna poke some serious balls out here. There's a very real chance. I'm not gonna try to get too high on him, but he could easily hit 25 to 30 home runs this year if he is healthy. In our ballpark, with the guys who he's going to have hitting around him, like he is lining up, I think, very well to be that number 2 hitter. With that, Reese Hines has had a good week. He walked off the Dodgers like we talked about, but he is also 8 for 20, which is pretty amazing for him. He's got 5 extra base hits, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 2 walks to 5 strikeouts. He had I think 4 strikeouts the week before, so only 1 this week, which is pretty outstanding. I'm a little worried about Nathaniel Lowe. His mother, unfortunately, did pass away. I don't know if you saw that, but he said he hit a home run for her. I still think he's got the inside track for the most part, but unless if he just has an awful week. JJ Bleday has slowed down a little bit, but they're getting him less at bats. I think they're seeing the younger guys, which is, to me, showing that Bleday is probably somebody who they fully anticipate will make it. And then I wanted to talk about our 3 young guys who are top prospects, Alfredo Duno and Tyson Lewis. Tyson Lewis at 20 years old hit a home run yesterday, which is really cool to see. Alfredo Duno as well hitting home runs. And then I wanted to talk about our boy Sal Stewart. Joe, he has 4 walks to 4 strikeouts. If this man is this polished of a hitter at the ripe age of, was it 22 years old? Oh boy, Joe. I mean, it's hard not to get excited about this team. Where do you want to start with all those guys? I wanted to put them all out there for you to pick and choose the ones that you wanted to talk about.
I'll go through a couple of them. I don't have thoughts on some of them. Matt McClain, you're right. Like I said last week, I don't know if I want him starting in the 2-hole, but he's doing everything in his damn power to make sure he is that 2-hole hitter.
Yep.
And again, optimally, if he's healthy and in the right mindset, yes, he is the perfect 2-hole hitter. It's just I didn't want to put the pressure on him. Maybe he thrives under it, but it just seemed like last year did not go so well. And yes, the injury was there, but I'd rather start him off slow and then work his way up.
Yeah, I agree.
But if he keeps on it like this, he's probably going to be the number 2 hitter, and that's a fine place to start. And if he struggles, then you move him down. I've seen a lot of roster projections without Nathaniel Lowe. I don't really like that still. I think the 6 outfielders, I know we have Spencer Steer as an outfielder. He can play infield, but like, I really do think that we need that power bat. I do think it's going to be at the expense of Dane Myers, who has played well this spring, right? But like, also I think someone's going to get injured, and like we said last week, Rob, someone's going to get injured, and a lot of things will be figured out. Hunter Green gets injured, so we're always right as much as we don't want, especially we don't want to be. But I think that pop off the bat of his bat is going to be huge. 2 home runs in spring. So far, he hit the 1 home run the day his mom passed, and that's obviously very emotional. We're used to that type of stuff. Michael Lorenzen hitting that home run all those years ago after his dad passed. But I think you need that pop in your in your lineup a little bit more. Yes, we have more power than last year with Will Benson, with JJ Bleday, with Gino. But I kind of like having Lowe there as opposed to another outfielder, and I think that's something that it's being projected that way, and I'm not sure that's true. I know some of the projections are looking a little bit more right now. I know we'll talk more about pitching later, but like TJ Antone still looks great. It's a bold prediction, and maybe that's right, but I think this roster projection I'm seeing is like more. I don't know. I feel like it's more just like, hey, these guys are playing better than Nathaniel Lowe right now, but all while Nathaniel Lowe is going to be a pinch hitter, a spot starter, a power off the bench type of guy, and yeah, does his 200 batting average scare me a little bit? Yeah, but if it's off the bench, who cares? So that's something we'll talk about, I think, more as the season gets closer to. And then you talked about the young guys, Rob. Duno had an incredible week. Tyson Lewis had an incredible week. I think it was On Base Machine was the Twitter account, said he was listening to a Baseball America podcast and said that they compared Tyson Lewis to James Wood, and I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I mean,
dude, yes, that would be great.
Yeah, I was like, that's I don't like. I was kind of like, I guess I can see the comparison. It was just one that I would never have thought of, just because I didn't really see the players.
I thought he was a little faster, but maybe they're saying like power wise. I don't know.
I think so. So that would be really cool. I think the Reds. For the first time, and you mentioned it a little bit last week, Rob, with the depth that we have, but it's not just depth that we're going to have in the Major League roster. I think you said it like AAA, but our young guys, we have some really good young guys too that I think aren't in play to be on the team this year at all. Like, I don't think there's a way they bring up Duno all the way, even though maybe he deserves it, honestly, if we get to that point, or Lewis or Steele Hall or whoever we're going to talk about later. But this organizational depth is really, really good. We have obviously already have the starting pitching for depth, because we're going to make up for that. We're going to talk about that a little bit here. We have plenty of bullpen guys, made another trade for a bullpen guy. And we talked about how many different things they can do because of Spencer Steer's versatility this year. If Matt McClain's healthy, they have plenty of options if someone is struggling to move them out of the lineup, or if someone's hurt to fix things, which is something that they haven't had. They've had to bring up guys who are quadruple A players or worse to play in these spots, and I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue this year. Knock on wood for injuries, but that's how it goes.
For real. No, but I mean, like, even Blake Dunn, got injured, which is unfortunate for him, but that pretty much guarantees he'll be on the AAA roster this year. So to start the season, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good, and we're going to talk about some of those young prospects here in just a minute. Moving forward, Joe, the sent downs. We had a couple. Julian Aguiar was sent down to AAA, Edwin Arroyo, Jose Franco, Hector Rodriguez. Leo Balcazar was sent to AA, I think, and then Darren McCoggan? I don't know. He was sent to minor league camp. The big ones here are those top 4. Julian Aguiar, I just don't think that he was ever really... He would have had to do something crazy to beat out any of the other guys who are there for the starting pitching. I think all 4 of these guys are sent down with the intention of, let's just get them into AAA camp now, because we know they're not going to break with the roster. We want to make sure they're getting at bats consistently. Let's just make that happen. So Arroyo as well. I don't know what they're going to do with him, man. I really don't. Like, it just feels like he is in such a tough position. It just feels like he's got to be trade bait at this point, but we'll see. Jose Franco, another pitcher. He pitched the other day, and I don't know if we'll really use him, but maybe. And then your guy, and a guy who I also like, but Hector Rodriguez, still very young guy who I think they want to as well get him and Arroyo specifically as many at-bats as possible, and get Aguilar as many innings to start kind of getting him ready just in case if they need him down the road. Anybody stand out? Am I missing anything on this?
No, I mean, Aguilar, like you said, had to do a whole hell of a lot to make this roster, and I think it's better just to send him down. And as we're trying to get some of our major league guys more reps over the next couple of weeks, there's just not enough reps for these guys.
Completely agree.
Down there.
Completely agree.
Edwin Arroyo is not playing much for Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic, and there is something to be said about getting reps, and I think just sending him down now, where he comes back and then gets reps, is huge. I think this is a player that, like you said, there's not a clear path. I think he still could be trade bait if we really have a chance to go get something really great.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can be a really good player for us, but at the same time, he's not in the plans for this team this year unless something really drastically goes wrong with injuries, and that's fine. So let's send him down, let him get some experience. And same with even Hector Rodriguez. I love him. I wish he probably got more of a shot. He did obviously play well in AAA. We'll keep plugging away in AAA this year. If he plays well again, maybe he'll get a shot. But we're talking about 6 outfielders, and his name's not even in the discussion really for making a roster. We're probably the only ones who said anything about him, to be honest, in some of Red's talk. Otherwise, it's been Jay Myers, JJ Bleday, all those guys, and as it should be. But want to see him keep on working at it. And again, just goes to that organizational depth they have. It's going to be nice to see what the bats can do this year.
Yeah, there's a world where Arroyo and Rodriguez are in play for next year. I think if we see them this year, then the Reds either haven't done what they needed to make sure the roster is ready, or one of them are just tearing it up. They're doing an Ellie De La Cruz where they're hitting like 400. They're hitting a home run like every other game. Like they're just, which Arroyo wouldn't be able to do. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like they're just doing something just so incredibly outstanding that you have to call them up. There's just no other way to do it because they're going to help the team in some way, shape, or form. So we'll move into the top prospects. Like I said, I believe it was this past week. It may have been the week before, but we didn't talk about it, and I wanted to real quickly. The Reds' new top 30 prospects on MLB.com are out. And I felt like this was very much worth talking about because, like, Hector Rodriguez at one point, Joe, was not really ranked as high. He has worked his way up, I think, in a substantial way. And if you're excited about Tyson Lewis, there's that kid Steele Hall, who is the youngest one on this list, I believe. It's either him or Aaron Watson, who we'll talk about here in a second. But Sal Stewart, no surprise, top prospect. Alfredo Duno has officially moved his way up. You should expect to see him in the top 50 prospects, I think, more and more regularly. They will value catching prospects, especially ones that can hit and play good defense, very highly. There's a world where Duno moves his way into top 10 prospects as guys start to graduate, Joe. I fully 100% believe that. I think he's a stud. Steele Hall being as high as he is just gives me even more confidence. Like, I am very excited for him in a few years. Rhett Lauder is at 4, which is shocking to me. I don't really understand how he's still even on the list, but we'll take it. As we talked about, Tyson Lewis as well. Good for him. He's pretty much kind of remained in the same spot. Hector Rodriguez, like I said, has found his way from being kind of a fringe top 10 guy to a top 6 guy. Cam Collier is still recovering from injury. I fully expect that he will have a very nice resurgence at some point. Edwin Arroyo has kind of stuck around there in the top 10. Chase Petty in the same way. And then a new kid, Aaron Watson, the first guy, by the way, Joe, that the Reds have apparently drafted or just gotten from prep ball, meaning like high school, in quite a while as a pitcher. They expect really big things from him, apparently, so he will be a name to watch over the next couple of years. As you can see, he's really the next, the beginning of the next pitcher group, as, Petty and Lauder and, Chase Burns, if you noticed, is not even on this list, which again shows me even more so that everybody fully anticipates that he will be an MLB starter this year. But what I gave my thoughts on all these guys. Are there any in particular that you quickly want to talk about?
Yeah, some of these guys like Steele Hall, Tyson Lewis, good prospects, possibly going to be great prospects. We'll have to see that, but very young. But I think the way I'm going to look at that, I'm going to be silver lining guy here, Rob. I think this is even better than people think because of the injuries. Louder pitched well in his one month with us, right? Last year, not last 2 years ago, whatever it is now. He pitched well with us, and he's looking good in spring at different points. It's not something that's perfect yet, but he was a guy we took very highly in the draft. I don't think he's done anything besides be injured to really lose any weight as a prospect. So I don't get it. Like, other than people just love the velocity and the spin rate stuff, and that's not exactly how he pitches. He gets people out. Who cares? Same thing with down there with Edwin Arroyo and Collier. Like guys that, they could be trade pieces, and if that helps us win a World Series, thank you guys for being good and helping us trade for a star. But at the end of the day, these guys have been injured, and I've really liked what I've seen from both of these guys at different points in their minor league career. And then you throw in some of these other guys they haven't been injured yet, or like Sal Stewart or Hector Rodriguez, who's vastly outperformed anyone's expectations for him. And I think this is a really good list. And I wish that, there is a chance that some of these guys who have been injured never return to form. That's always a risk when you have guys like Louder or Collier or Arroyo. I'm going to choose to believe they're, at least a couple of them will pan out. And that makes it really, really good. I think Louder could be, if Hunter Greene's out for a long time or something, he could be a really good fifth starter this year. There's a chance that Collier and Arroyo could have really good careers, and I think that's something that they're lower down on the list than I would have had them, even for just the Reds players. And that's something to be. That's something to watch. I think there's a lot to be encouraged about this list, both with some of the youth guys and some of the guys who are injured who just got dinged because of it. And I don't always agree with that.
Yeah, I think Hall and Lewis probably could be lower, and it's not because they're not potentially top prospects, in the entire MLB, but I just think, like you said, some of these other guys have done more to show it, and they still have very, very, strong talents. Even when you go through the 30, Joe, you guys can take your own time to do it, but there are some guys who are still pretty good down there. Guys who are MLB ready. I mean, Julian Aguiar is still down there, and he's, in my opinion, he's not your everyday fifth starter, but there are some teams like maybe the Rockies and stuff like that who would love to have him as a fourth or fifth starter, right? And the Reds have an abundance of wealth at a position that I think is extremely important. So I wanted to make sure that I brought that up for them. The next thing, and I think a pretty interesting one, Joe, is the Reds went out and traded with the Pirates again. They traded Tyler Callahan. Thank you for your service. That injury will be ingrained in my brain for a very long time. But they went out and they got a reliever, a very high velocity guy in Kyle Nicholas. He's from Massillon, Ohio, as well. He is a former second-round pick out of Ball State. He has, over the last 2 years, not started with the Pirates, but come up and pitched in a lot of games. He's pitched in 82 games over the last 2 seasons with an ERA somewhere in the low fours. He doesn't really give up a ton of home runs. He's about a strikeout per inning guy. He doesn't really walk necessarily. He does walk. Sorry. He walks a pretty good amount, and that's been his biggest thing. But it feels like the Reds have done really well at kind of taking those reclamation project guys, Joe, and giving them a chance. There are people saying he will make the roster for the year and be potentially that last bullpen guy. I'm not 100% sure, but I do not mind trading Tyler Callahan when there was absolutely zero path for him on this team at this point. I think last year it was because a lot of the other guys were maybe not ready to be able to come in, but we're seeing, again, guys like Edwin Arroyo, right, Hector Rodriguez, who are right there and about 5 years younger or 4 years younger than Tyler Callahan. So personally, to me, I feel like this is a great move for the Reds to make. I don't really understand it from the Pittsburgh side. I guess they just want a bench guy who they think Callahan can be. But I'll take an interesting middle reliever with Derek Johnson any day.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. So it kind of seems like one of those things where I don't really, other than us having a lot of outfielders, and I did say last week that like, hey, some of these guys are going to be traded,
Yep.
and getting a possible bullpen arm is nice. Hasn't had the greatest season. Seems like he just really needs to work on his control and
Yep.
how he works batters. He's playing in the World Baseball Classic right now for Team Italy, Rob. Even though he's from Massillon, Ohio, I guess he's on Team Italy. I don't get how all this is working, but he was bad in their game. He had point 0.1 innings, 2 earned runs, 54 ERA, had a walk, and this is against the Great Britain lineup. And yeah, it does have Jazz Chisholm again. I don't know how all this works, but they have Jazz Chisholm. But other than that, they don't have much. Ivan Johnson, our 27-year-old AAA third baseman, is batting fifth for them. And no offense, hope he does well, but he's batting 100 in the World Baseball Classic so far. And yeah, so I think he has some stuff to work on. So I'm not going to say like, oh, this is awesome. The Reds got the better end of the deal when it might end up being nothing. But yeah, okay, we'll take a guy who has some stuff at least, and we'll see what Derek Johnson can work with it. I'll be again. I've been tracking a lot of the Reds and how they're doing the World Baseball Classic. I'll add him to the list now, and if he's on the opening day roster, I'll be a little bit concerned.
Me
But
too.
I think that having the depth, and I believe he has an option too, is going to be good.
He
Having the
does.
depth for the bullpen, especially with the way things have been struggling for them. If Derek Johnson can work quickly, or if he can figure stuff out in AAA quickly, that'd be nice. But yeah, wasn't so good for him in the World Baseball Classic. Let's hope he has better days against better lineups because Italy is 2-0 and Great Britain is 0-3, and he did not look good against them.
Yeah, and he is that guy. Apparently, it's either he comes in and he's lights out, or he comes in and he walks a bunch of guys and gives up runs. So, again, like you said, I don't see how. I think it was Mark Sheldon had him on his opening day roster, and I was shocked personally. I think there are plenty of better options than him, but the Reds have like a sneaky good pitching program. I saw somebody else tweet about, or no, I was reading MLB.com or MLB Trade Rumors, like chat that they do, every so often, and somebody was asking like, what are the top, pitching, places or whatever, and the Reds weren't like not even mentioned. They also had the Cubs as a better starting rotation, by the way, too. So I don't really know what's going on over there, but I think we are a pretty good pitching factory. I think Derek Johnson has set it up across all the levels. We're seeing guys come up and do some stuff. I would rather take this shot than, I mean, no offense to Tyler Callahan, but he was going to go down to AAA at a minimum. He's just older than some of these other guys, Joe, who I think are probably a lot better than him, and can play different positions and, just be better. So I thank Callahan for what he did. But I'd rather take a chance on a guy like Kyle Nichols and see if we can do what we need to do for him. So no problems there. We will move on though. I wanted to just bring up very quickly, Joe. Are you worried about the pitching at all? And the main reason I say that is Andrew Abbott has given up 3 home runs in 3 games so far. Tony Santillan hasn't looked great. Ashcraft has been struggling. There are other guys. Luis May's been a little bit better, but Lyon Richardson, Connor Phillips, all these guys that we thought were for sure going to be battling for that spot. Now it does feel like, and maybe that's why they, why Mark Sheldon had Kyle Nicholas making it. We're just not really sure who those last couple spots are going to go to. Even Graham Ashcraft, like I said, has been. It's like almost every outing he's been bad. Now, Graham kind of does this. I kind of remember this in spring training at some other point over the last few years where he struggled in spring training, and then we get to the regular season and he's fine for the most part. I don't know if maybe he's just working on a third pitch. I don't really know what's going on with him. It's always hard to tell because, like I said, the last 2 weeks I've been a defender of these guys are learning new pitches, they're doing things. This was the week for them to start kind of stepping up, but all of our starting pitchers kind of struggled, other than the 4 guys that we'll name here in a minute. I don't know about you, Joe. I'm not exactly worried. Abbott's home runs still do worry me, but this is spring training. The ball is carrying pretty substantially again. I mean, the Reds hit 6 home runs 2 days in a row or something crazy like that. So I don't know how you're feeling. I'm not worried. I you like to do your scale right out of 10. I would say I'm at a 5 right now. I really want to see how this week goes before I either go fully one way or the other?
Yeah, I think last week I said 2 or 3. Now I'm like 3 or 4. It's getting to a point where it's not like crazy. It's kind of middle of the pack where it's I kind of worry about it a little bit, but not overall because it's still spring training. And again, I just don't value it as much. And I think there are people working on things. If we get to the season and some of these things stay constant, where it's like, oh, it's March 20th and we have opening day in a week or whatever. Yeah, I'll probably be moving that up to a 6 or a 7, especially with the Hunter Greene injury impacting things. This team does have a lot of talent, but I do think that starting pitching will figure it out. I trust in those guys to be able to do that,
Yes.
even with Rhett Lauder being the 5th starter to start the year. But the bullpen does concern me, and I said it last year. I said it, I think, the last couple weeks. We had a bullpen that I think overperformed expectations last year. There is not a star. There is a lot of guys who have decent stuff. My problem is bullpens typically year to year they change. You don't know what you're going to get if you have, especially if you have that system where you don't have stars. You're going to get a lot of things where guys who were good last year, maybe Tony Santillan takes a step back. Maybe Emilio Pagan, who's older, doesn't have as good of a year. I'm not saying that either of those things are going to happen. I think specifically Tony's going to be good, but
Yes.
that could happen for so many of these guys, and it makes me think, okay, I think they're still solid. Can they reach that ceiling we talked about a couple weeks ago, Rob, where they're top 5 or 10? Maybe it's looking less likely right now. I think they can still do that, but it makes me think that with the way the offense is playing too, if we need to make a move at the deadline, it might be to go get that star closer more so than getting another bat because the bats are doing pretty well. There's not a really good if McLean's healthy. There's not a really good spot to put that bat. Like you're benching Spencer Steer, you're benching T.J. Freely, you're benching Matt McLean or Brian Hayes. Like I don't know. I don't want to bench any of those guys to start the year. If some of them struggle, then we can have those conversations. But that might be the move where we trade some of these top prospects we just talked about for a star closer. And honestly, it would make the team a whole hell of a lot better if we had someone who, not that Emilio Pagan and Tony didn't do really well last year, as well as some other guys, but if we had a top end of the line closer, this team does get a lot more dangerous. So even if things do go well, I think that's on the table. But right now, it's looking like it might be June, and we're sitting there like, man, the bullpen has blown a couple games, and we need that guy. So I think it's always good that we've kept that starting pitching depth. We kept Brady Singer. Now the Hunter Greene's hurt, and obviously your guys always get hurt. And I don't feel like we need to go get another starter, other than maybe a AAA guy, minor league deal guy, which is we can do that. But if there is a big hole in this team at this point, it feels like it's shifted from the bats over to this pitching. And I really do think that there's a world where we're sitting here in a month or two, Rob, and we're like, man, we need an Aroldis Chapman type closer. We need that guy or whoever it is. So that's kind of my thoughts so far. So it's 3 or 4. It's not quite like we need to do this right now, but it's getting every week we go by where this happens, it's getting closer.
And that's what's worrying me is it's like the guys aren't getting better. Like they have this week, obviously, to do so, right? I'm not going to worry too much about. I don't worry about bullpen ERAs past their until they're maybe 6, appearances in, or 8 innings or 10 innings, right? Because you give up 1 3-run home run and your ERA is skewed till you have 15 innings or whatever. Now the problem is that bullpen guys only generally get about 50 innings, right? So I'm waiting for 20% of their season to really know for sure, and that's where it can become a problem. And so you've got to be able to be nails. Like you said, I'm not worried about Santillan. I'm not even worried. I know everybody else is about Graham Ashcraft right now. I think he must be working on something that I just have not seen yet. I've not had the chance to watch every pitch like I will during the regular season. I just don't believe that he is this bad. I think he's going to be fine. And if for some reason he's not, there are other guys. I did want to point out the guys who are not struggling. Nick Lodolo has looked fine, honestly. Originally, the question was going to be with Hunter Greene out, who's going to be opening day starter? Would it be Abbott or would it be Lodolo? I felt like it was going to be Abbott. By the way, screw all of you guys who did not believe Abbott should be on the freaking roster or, be a starting rotation last year. Absolutely ridiculous, by the way. Just tell me you don't know baseball without telling me you don't know baseball. Anyways, but Lodolo has been really good. Rhett Lauder has been outstanding, Joe. He looks poised and ready to go. Pierce Johnson has been good. And the big one, the one I want to spend at least 60 seconds talking about, is TJ Antone. We talked about it. We felt like maybe there was a chance he could make it. What's crazy is Mark Sheldon had TJ Antone sneaking on to the opening day roster as the last bullpen guy. If these guys are all struggling, Joe, if the young guys are not taking, control, and Antone continues to put up zeros, I don't see why they wouldn't. I really don't. He is consistently, he finally just gave up his first hit and first walk of spring training, I think, in his last outing. And he still struck out, I think, one or two guys and got the job done. I just think he's savvy. He knows what he's doing. And if he's healthy, he knows how to get outs. And he's just he's a high energy guy. He's got to be well respected at this point. He's literally writing the book on Tommy John surgery. Like I said, I wanted to give him another 60 seconds because I think it is trending towards him making this team right now, Joe. I genuinely believe that. I think if he does not give up a run for the entirety of spring training and is barely giving up any hits, I don't care who it's against, and that's good. That's good news, and we will take that. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine, but I genuinely think he might make the opening day roster because, again, Phillips isn't doing it. Luis May is not doing it right now. Lyon Richardson's not doing it. Zach Maxwell is not. He's been actually probably the best of those four more recently, but still, those guys just aren't taking control of the prime opportunity they have. And TJ Antone's oh, don't worry about me and my 3 UCL, major surgeries. I'll just come in here and swipe your spot.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see now that a lot of these pitchers have been sent down, that it's this is the time where the competition really starts because you're going to get more innings. We have plenty of these guys don't even have 5 innings pitched yet. I don't think any of the guys actually have 5 innings pitched yet. There's some of them have four innings pitched, and now's the time. If there's a way this is close, I think they go with the young guys, to be honest, because it is such a TJ Antone's here on a minor league invite, and
sure.
For him to jump that, it's got to be pretty crazy. So I think it's going to be the young guys if it gets close, but right now it's not close. And I'm going to try to, like I said, not to freak out too much because it is just 4 innings pitched, and I'm at a 3 or 4 worrisome about this pitching. But Antone is doing everything he can, and I think there's a world where, even if he does start the year off at AAA, where he's up pretty quickly if someone struggles or gets injured, because that's what he's shown to be able to do. I think it's going to be, again, just a little bit of an uphill battle because of the way the roster is constructed, because of the minor league invite, but he's done everything in his power, and that's something that I think, if they really, truly have a competition for the last spots and not just based on contracts, yeah, I'd love to have the best guys up. I don't really care, to be honest, if there's minor league invitee or whatever. So we'll see how it shakes out, and we still have a couple weeks of spring training baseball and minor leaguers playing against these guys, but let's see how it gets. These next weeks, I think, will be way more important. Where, if your third or fourth pitch that you're trying to work on isn't working, you better cut that out and start pitching well, because if not, you might not make the roster. So, I think TJ Antone will be a good story. Rob, you mentioned some of the other guys too. Lodolo and Louder, I think, both just absolute nails for us. I think it's really good. Pierce Johnson's showing what he can do for this bullpen. And again, I think the bullpen will have more depth, which is nice. Whether it's guys in AAA being able to come up, because remember there were guys like Luis May and Zach Maxwell we didn't think were going to be having an impact last year, and they ended up pitching for it. And while they weren't always the best, it's not the real point. The point is that they have that experience, and now they're actually at a point where we do expect them to be pitching well. So there's more depth there too, and I'm excited to see what they do. And I'm trying to just tell myself that, hey, it is still early in spring training. If these guys are still struggling at the end of spring training, I'll be that 3 or 4 concern level will go up to a 5 or 6. It won't go any higher than that based on spring training. I will not allow myself to let that happen based on spring training baseball. But if it goes into the season and goes up to 7, 8, 9, it's nice to know we have these guys that, there's so much more depth. Sam Moll has not given up a run yet.
I know, which is crazy. Crazy. Everybody's written him off, but
so yeah, that's my point. Is we have more depth, so I think we'll be able to figure it out. Whether TJ Antone makes the roster or not, I think it's still a little bit of an uphill battle. It's definitely closer than it was, but it's a good problem to have with the depth. It just might need some of those stars. Like I said, I would be in favor of trading for a star type closer if we get to the season and some of these guys are still struggling.
I would be too. My last 10 seconds I'll give on TJ Antone. If he had not been coming back from injury, I think he would be a lock. I think he has shown in the past that that is the case. And so I believe that that might be why Mark Sheldon has put him on there. So I just want to throw that out there to you guys. You guys can call me crazy. I had given up on him potentially getting in, Joe, but if Sheldon's putting it out there, he must be hearing something. He's not normally one to guess on that kind of stuff. It is generally the vibes and the things that he's hearing around the clubhouse. So we'll see. It would be an awesome story. Let's get to our big thing of the day. Andrew Abbott named the opening day starter. I want to give him his congratulations before we talk about Hunter Greene, Joe. I think he has earned it. He was a top 100 player in baseball heading into this season, according to MLB and everything else. I know I just said that he has been struggling this offseason. There's a chance he's another one of those guys who are working on things. He also has a really high strikeout right now compared to even his normal, right? He's a guy who I'm just really never going to worry too much about. He has been as consistent, as kind of ever in my mind. And he is just, I don't know. He's a stud, man. I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's lowered his ERA every year. 3.87, 3.72, 2.87 in 29 starts. He has been working really hard on being able to go deeper into games, go deeper into the season. He has talked about that extensively. He's a guy who I think could do 185 innings this year. We all talk about his home runs, but he brought those down. I know we joked about it, but he had 25 home runs in 138 innings in 2024. He had 19 in 166 last year. Most of them were solo shots. And I think that that's where he's most dangerous. He's willing to take more risks when there aren't guys on base. When he's not, he locks it down and tries to get guys out. I just love him. I think he is so savvy. I recently read somewhere as well that people were asking, hey, who are the Reds going to try to get an extension done with, of their young guys? And I would fully agree with this. I think Andrew Abbott should be the guy. If they can't get Ellie done, if they can't figure out, kind of these other things, I think you try to keep Andrew Abbott for as long as you can because his kind of pitching, Joe, is not one that goes away. You can be savvy for a very, very long time. You can't always keep your heater, at over 100 for your entire career. I know it's becoming more likely that people can as they get into their mid and late 30s, but Abbott's just that kind of a guy. And I'm very excited for him to be the opening day starter. I think if it was not going to be Hunter Greene, I was going to fight tooth and nail to say it needed to be Andrew Abbott.
I mean, it should be after what he's done. And you're right to call out the people who, the roster projections last year where he wasn't going to be on.
Crazy.
Stupid. And again, it all stems from this, everyone wants the advanced analytics and the power pitching and the power hitting. And I get it. But there's a world for guys like this in the league if you can get the weak contact. And he's improving some of his stuff, too. I think he's going to have more strikeouts as he goes along, too. And that's part of it. And you're right about, just having more longevity. You can last longer as a pitcher. As long as he doesn't have a decline of his stuff where, miles per hour being taken off by the year or something,
yes,
he'll be fine. I think that's something that not everyone, talks about. And we even saw this offseason, Rob, with that guy on Twitter, with the fantasy baseball guy, talking about Andrew Abbott being just lucky. And it's at a certain point, every year he's gotten better, like you mentioned, Rob. Every year, it's been no year has been bad yet. Even for a 3.72 in his first, who cares? I don't know. He's working on his ability to go farther in the season. I think he can get better. Even if he takes a step back this year and has a 3.5 ERA,
it's still really good.
Done everything I could have expected. And I'm glad he got the opening day start. He deserves it. I hope he has a good season to kind of shut some of these people up. I hope that Hunter Greene can still come back and be a big part of this rotation as well. But yeah, Andrew Abbott deserves it, and I think you're still looking at a rotation that, without Hunter Greene, maybe isn't close to what we thought at the start of the year. If he's out for an extended period of time, maybe it's not a top 5 to 10 rotation in baseball. But this still has some really good quality pitchers, and if the offense take the step forward and help carry us in a way that they couldn't last year, this is still a pretty good team. So I'm excited, and I think this is a rotation that offers a lot of different types of pitchers and a lot of different looks that you can give a team for a 3-game series, and that's exciting. And if Abbott leads the way, that is fine.
I want to remind everybody that even with a 3.5 ERA, which would be a pretty substantial jump, almost a full point for Mr. Abbott there, that would still put him in the top 20 pitchers in baseball. ERA wise. He finished ninth, by the way. Here are the guys who finished above him: Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Hunter Brown, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Christopher Sanchez, Garrett Crochet, Freddie Peralta, Max Fried. That is it. That is the entire list. Those are some of the always talked about best pitchers in baseball, Joe. And then Andrew Abbott's there at 9. So the biggest difference for him is he just doesn't pitch as many innings as those other guys. That's the thing I think he's got to work on the most. So, yeah, I don't want to hear any baloney about him being lucky. I'm tired of that. So, one to give him his flowers. Hunter Greene. Look, the good news is the UCL is intact, is what they've said. We would have heard by now, by the way. Everybody's kind of worried that they haven't said very much because there's nothing to update. They did the MRI 100% by now. They would have come out and said he was having surgery because there's just no reason for him to wait. If they were worried about him having, because it would be a second Tommy John for him, which would be devastating because he had one when he was younger in the minors. I think a lot of people forget that. Everything that he has said is just there's some floating stuff in there. They might do a minor procedure to clear that stuff out. If they're worried about that. The elbow is not one to mess with. I get everybody was upset with him about the injury last year. They thought he was milking it. He came out and directly said, that is not the case. I am not that kind of guy. But I do think he's very in tune with his body, and I'd kind of rather him be a little bit more cautious than not because ultimately, guys, we need him down the road. If he doesn't start the season, whatever. The only thing that's really, truly being hurt, at least in my mind, Joe, is his Cy Young chances. The only way he's really going to win a Cy Young, being a Cincinnati guy, is he's got to pitch at least 30 starts, probably. Now, there's still a chance, from what it sounds like, that he may miss, literally just the first week of baseball, which would be totally fine. I don't think any of us would be that upset about it. But regardless, I want to know how concerned you are. I'm talking all the reasons not to be concerned. I'm still not pleased about the fact that we may not have our ace. We have another guy, obviously, in Andrew Abbott, who's an ace. That is fine, but I would definitely still prefer it be the two of them starting opening day because I'm going to give you the rotation and how I think it's going to go, not how I would do it personally. And the guy who's starting on the Saturday game is not the one that I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen. And it's nothing against him. It's just, it's a lot better when you go Hunter Greene, Abbott. So,
yeah, I'm a little concerned. The injury history with both Greene and Lodolo specifically, for Abbott, it's more about fatigue, I feel like, and that's something that, it's not like an injury as much as, these guys have some legit injury issues. Yeah, it's concerning. I think for this year, I'm not overly concerned. I am a little bit upset that he had some issues at the end of last year, he said, and he figured that rest would help him, and then we come back, and he says he feels good the first week of spring training, and then it all kind of falls apart. And I know that's injuries happen, and a lot of times it's mysteries, and especially with our training staff, we've had a lot of mysteries and misinformation or information that's come way late, and that's frustrating. But
about that.
I would have liked to have had this figured out in the offseason. Now that it's not an option, I think my level of concern is a 5 out of 10. 10 being we lose him for the season. 1 being he's gonna be ready opening day, which he's not. But that's kind of the scale. It is is he gonna be? What time is he gonna be able to come back? Is he gonna have that minor procedure? It just gets to be a thing where every time this happens, it's going to be more and more questions. And I'm not again, arms are fickle, especially these days with how much these guys are trying to get rotation and velocity. But it definitely when he's healthy, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know when he's going to come back and how it's going to go. In terms of for him, it's a concern level of 5, and I don't know. But for the team, I think they're well equipped to handle the loss of him because they have the starting pitching depth. So I would say for him now, because we didn't do it in the offseason for some reason, take your time. If it takes until the end of April to get you back and you're going to be 100% and everything in your elbow is cleaned up and there's nothing that can possibly come back up besides just regular injuries or whatever, fine. I think we can withstand that. If it's much longer than that, I do worry. I don't know. It's just arm injuries scare me. But Like I said, I still like the way the rotation sets up. It's just, you're right, Rob. If he comes back and you put him at the top of the rotation with some of these guys, it's a whole lot better. I'm not saying this rotation still can't be great because there's some really good pitchers that we have, but it gets to be like, when I look at possibly playing in a playoff series and I have a chance to have Hunter Greene and Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo start 3 games, or Chase Burns if he ends up getting there, by the way.
Or louder.
Oh my god. Or louder too, yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean, even I don't even care if Singer pitches well. I don't give a shit if they put him out there. Whoever's pitching well this year, put him out there. That makes me the ceiling of the team does come down a bit without Hunter Greene, but I think they can survive without him because of the pitching depth. And hell, if Rhett Lauder isn't ready for some, even though he's pitching well right now, if for some reason he's like, hey, he's not comfortable. He's still figuring things out after the injury. Once we get to, you know, opening day or whatever, whatever after he has a couple starts after opening day, hey, Brandon Williamson's there, and
Yep.
I think the confidence level. The reason why I'm not as concerned as maybe I think other people who just think, oh, these guys are always injured and he's never going to come back is even Nick Kroll said they're not even in the market for a pitcher. And not even like a quadruple A guy. He said like they're not even looking. So
They shouldn't be.
which
They have no reason to.
yeah, which I agree with, but I feel like a lot of people would freak out or let's go get the Wade Miley guy for triple A or I don't know whatever. But that's for me. And hey, if they do that, more power to them. I don't really care. But yeah, I think I'm like a 5 for Hunter Greene specifically for the Reds as a whole with the starting rotation. I'd say a 2 or 3 worried, and it's partially by some of the performances we've seen. Although Lodolo and Lauder have been good, but also just partially did not have Hunter Greene. So it's a tough go, tough time to happen, and what should have been done earlier. But this team can be fine even without him. I just hope he can come back at some point early in the season because I do think when we have our best starting pitchers out there, man, there's not a series that goes a 3-game series that goes by where you don't have to face one of Hunter Greene, Abbott, or Lodolo. But no matter how you set the rotation up,
Yep.
that is huge. And now Chase Burns, if he gets there too, that just makes it even better. So just that's kind of what I've been thinking about. I'm not too happy with how this has gone down. It's not his fault. It's just frustration as a Reds fan with all the injuries, and that happens.
Yeah, no doubt. And I want to point out too, Brandon Williamson in 2023 had 23 starts. He had a 4.46 ERA. Like in his first season, his first year coming up after the struggles that he had that year, and then he actually pitched pretty well in 2024 too. Like he's only a year older than Andrew Abbott, Joe. So like this guy still is very much a guy who I think they're going to lean on. I will tell you right now, if they're worried at all about that bullpen, I can almost guarantee you there's a chance that Brandon Williamson will go into that bullpen at some point. So, there's a lot of good things with this team, Joe. Like you said, there's plenty of depth. Look, we go from having maybe a top 3 to 5 rotation to still having a top 10. I really believe that with these guys. I'm going to give how I think the rotation will go. It's not how I would do it, but I can see why or how they would do this. I think they go Abbott. I think they go Singer on Saturday. I think they go Lodolo on Sunday. Then you got Burns and Lauder to start the Pirates series. I think that's best for them. I would rather Burns and Lauder face those guys than Boston, personally. And let's be real. I mean, Singer was always going to be the 4 starter, so you kind of move him up. You generally don't want to do lefty back to back on days with starting pitching. It's just it's been shown in some analytics that back to back lefties can allow the batters to adjust just a little bit. I personally would just go Abbott, Lodolo. You got a day off, and it doesn't really matter. I think both of them are good enough. I'm just saying they're doing analytics. They're doing these things. It would not surprise me to see them have those 3 go in that order. Regardless, without Hunter Greene, those are going to be the guys who will go against Boston. There's just no other ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Reds will likely face Crochet, Sonny Gray, and Brian Bayo, I would believe, would be probably the 3. So that first series is going to be a tough one. I'm just going to be honest. And if we had Hunter Greene, I think if you go Greene, Abbott, Lodolo, I don't really care if we're going against Crochet, Gray, and Bayo. I just don't personally care. I think that while they're very good, to be clear, Bayo was also a top 25, 20 guy in ERA last year. And Crochet is obviously a stud. And Sonny Gray is, I think, very strong as well still. it just feels like to me that, there is that little step back, and, obviously we're not doing our predictions yet, but a 1-2 weekend would not surprise me against a good Red Sox team with Hunter Greene out. But we'll have to see. I don't know. How do you feel about that rotation? Would you put Lodolo up above Singer? Would you try to sneak Burns in for a Sunday start? I don't know. I just feel like it's better against the Pirates. I'd rather those two go against, the bottom starters of the Pirates in a much worse lineup than the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, even so, I think you have to have Burns and Louder as the 4 and 5 starter to start,
Yeah.
and like make them earn it. Especially with how, I mean, there's a world. I think Burns can figure it out and be great, but there's a world where he just wasn't good as a starter last year and was better in the bullpen. And there's a world where he moves back to the bullpen. We'll just say that. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen. He's going to start as a 4th starter, but I'd rather have those two guys earn it, and Williamson as well if he's in the mix at that point for whatever reason. I typically just like to start your best pitchers 1-2. If putting the two lefties back to back doesn't phase me as much, but I do think it does provide a little bit different where you switch up lefty, righty, two righties after that. And I don't really mind Brady Singer being that far up. I believe led us in innings pitched at 169.2 last year. That wasn't even top. I think it was 35th in the league. If he, as bad as it sounds, he's very valuable to this team. He's going to be an innings eater.
Yep.
I think you have to a little bit abuse his arm, especially while Hunter Greene's out. He needs to be that guy. So if you want to have it number 2, so he gets more starts, so he can eat more innings, so you can save the arms of the young guys, whether it's Lodolo and Greene, who have had arm injuries and other injuries that have prevented them from playing, or whether it's Louder and Burns because they're young and maybe there's an innings limit that they're going to throw on them. Then you do need to use this guy. You need to get him, I think maybe up to 185 innings pitched, which would be much higher up the list. It'd be top like 10, 15 in the league. This is a guy that I think you have to treat him like a workhorse, even though he's not like an ace or anything, because of the injury issue, because of the young guys. And to be honest, he's not really in our future plans. So we shouldn't be thinking, hey, we're saving him. Like, this is a guy everyone wanted to trade. I'm glad we didn't trade him. I want to keep him on the team, just as insurance at the very least. But there's a world where if everything goes right this year, we're trying to trade him next year because we have Greene back and Lodolo and Abbott and Burns and Louder and Williamson and God knows who else at that point. So that would be my thing. If they want to keep him as the 2 starter and say, hey, dude, you pitched 169.2 innings this past year for us. Last season with Kansas City, you pitched 179.2. We need you to be higher up, closer to 180, 185 innings pitched, and to just use you so we can keep these guys fresh. I'm okay with that. He might have to be the guy who burdens the load of that, and I'm okay if they decide to do it that way just because of all those reasons.
I mean, you know what you're getting out of him. 29 starts, 32 starts, 32 starts. Those are his last 3 years, right? The last 2 years, his ERA has hovered between a 4 and a 3.7, which is absolutely outstanding. He pretty much gave up the exact same amount of runs. His batting average against actually went down. It was those 10 innings that kind of cost him, I think, ERA-wise, but overall, I mean, lower home runs coming to Cincinnati from Kansas City is pretty cool, honestly. So, I think we know what we're getting out of Brady Singer. I'm actually sad. Like, I know that, like, we know what our top 5 are going to be moving forward, but I do think that there's a very valuable role for him. I think Rhett Louder could theoretically take that role in the future, but I just think that Singer's, like you said, I think he is valuable, and I don't mind him being the 2. Again, he's not the guy you probably want going up against a top-tier team in the playoffs necessarily, but he's a guy who's going to help you get there and help you win games. I mean, he won 14 games. I know we don't care as much about it, but 14 games is a lot. That means he was very much in the thick of things for helping this team, find success. And I don't see why he won't be able to do that again this year. So, and I like the idea of Lodolo on a Sunday start too. I mean, I think that Sunday is generally a pretty big one. I think the Thursday game and the Sunday game are the biggest ones of the 3 opening day games, and I think that generally that's how everybody likes to think of it. And you're also then putting Lodolo against a lot of other teams' number 3 starters when Lodolo himself is probably a number 2. So we'll take that, and then it also allows you to kind of maneuver things a little bit better once Hunter Greene comes back, because then you already have Abbott near the top. You can probably slot Hunter Greene into that spot with Singer, or even if it's after Lodolo, however you want to do it, right? There's just a lot of different ways to do it, and I think I'm fine with this being the way that they will make it happen. So do you have any other final thoughts on that before we look forward to the games this week?
Yeah, I misspoke. He's actually a free agent after the year, so he's not.
I was going to say that, but I didn't know for sure.
Yeah,
I didn't have it in front of me.
We're not going to be in the market to pay him. I mean, he's making 12.75 this year. We're not going to be in the market.
He'll be 15 plus next year, easily.
So we're not. He's gone, and I'm not saying that you do anything that jeopardizes his future, but we should also treat him like the workhorse, treat him like he's going to pitch a lot of innings. And Rob, it's one of those things where he will never get the credit for it. I don't think ever. But you're right. Like, he can help us get to the postseason. He's the guy who can help us when we get to the postseason. We haven't taxed our starting pitchers or bullpen because he's able to eat innings and go farther in games. He could be a reason why your team ends up going farther in the playoffs or winning a World Series. These type of pitchers, if they can do that, if they can take the load off people. And like you said, Rob, it was a 3.1 WAR season for Brady Singer last year. And I think ERA was fine. People kind of overestimate how sometimes those things go, but this was a guy that was very solid last year. I appreciate what he's going to do, like you said, and at the end of the year, he might be in the same way that we talked about some like unheralded heroes at the end of the year for I think we talked about some of the bullpen guys and some of the position players. He probably was, because Andrew Abbott was right behind him in innings pitched, but Hunter Greene had his injury. Nick Lodolo always has those blisters and God knows what else. And Brett Lauder was hurt, and Chase Burns didn't figure out starting. So like, I truly think if we didn't have Brady Singer last year,
we don't make the playoffs. 100%.
Yeah, we don't make the playoffs.
100%.
Yeah, he's 14-12 overall. So it's I just want that to be said. I know this might be our last year with Brady Singer. I know that he's not one of the young promising stars, but he is a guy you need in this rotation, and I'm very glad they didn't trade him, and obviously it's very apparent now because we don't have Hunter Greene.
And I will tell you right now, if the Reds are worried about innings next year, he's a guy who I think would want to come back, and I think that they should absolutely target him. Just putting that out there. Not the price, but yeah. And I will say too, by the way, that may end up going down as one of the better trades that we have seen Kroll do. I mean, no offense to Jonathan India. I love that man, but yeah, I think we got the better end of that deal, for sure. Let's look ahead, Joe. A lot of games this week. Reds played the Athletics today, the Rockies on Tuesday, the Brewers on Wednesday, the Dodgers again. Back-to-back Thursday Dodgers games, Joe. Then we get a split squad against the Giants, back-to-back Friday games against the Giants. Then we get the Rangers and the Mariners. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in 1 week. We are going to see a lot about what will happen with Reds baseball. What are you looking for most?
Just the bullpen competition. It's now. Some guys have been sent down. There's 8 games, plenty of innings to go around. We have to see which guys are going to step up, which guys, maybe their ERAs are inflated, but they start pitching better and kind of show us what they want to be. And I think that's going to be important. So, like I said earlier, the offense is flowing, and there's some guys that can definitely step it up, and I'll be watching those guys too. But the most important thing is figuring out this bullpen for the time being.
Yeah, I will say we're 2 weeks away from opening day as of Thursday. I want to see the bullpen as well. I want to see the starters start to kind of find their groove. We know that Abbott's starting opening day, so got to get him ready. I'm also going to be watching Nathaniel Lowe. I want to see if he really starts to pick it up and earn that spot. He and Will Benson, I think, Bladay's been playing well. And Dane Myers, right? They're pushing for those roster spots. I want to see those two make it more of a competition because, really and truly, there are some very interesting choices that I believe could be made once spring training ends. We've got, it looks like, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 games left. Wow, can't believe that. That's actually still quite a few. But 17 games left until opening day, plus the split squad they'll do on that Wednesday most likely before they head back. I want to see them get ready to roll, Joe. I want to see them, really, I think, step up their game. And I want to see these guys understand, what's coming. And the last thing I'll say is I want to see who gets sent down today, because generally Mondays they do some transactions. So I would not be surprised at all to see somebody get sent down today. A few people probably. They got to trim some of these guys whose names you've never heard of. A sneaky name that a couple people were pointing out real quick was, I think his name, pronounce it as Hagen Danner, something like that. He has apparently impressed the Reds quite a bit, and they feel like he's potentially a guy who could also be pushing for a roster spot, Joe. He's still, I don't know, he's a 27-year-old journeyman, but apparently the rumor around the diamond is that he could be pushing for something here. So we will have to see as well. But Joe, I think that's about it for us. Let's get into your fun facts of the day, your wise words of wisdom.
Yeah, hopefully former Reds don't keep on hitting home runs against us in spring training as well. Santiago Espinal, 2 home runs in 1 game against us.
Crazy.
So screw you, haters. Screw you. Nick Senzel also had a home run in that game.
Yeah, which was insane.
But yeah, I'm enjoying watching the World Baseball Classic. Gino had a home run against Israel. Again, Israel, not the greatest team, but they do have some guys that you've heard as well. And I just kind of got to thinking, like, a lot of the players are saying, like, this feels like a World Series, even if it's just the group stage. It feels like a bigger thing than just, like, regular baseball. The ones who said it's bigger than the World Series, I mean, I guess representing your country does that to you, but it just got me... It got me thinking about, like, we needed a guy who has big game experience. Gino hits the home run in the World Baseball Classic. He's obviously played on some good teams since leaving the Reds, even if the teams that he was on with the Reds weren't always the greatest. And that just had me thinking that, like, yes, we needed this in our lineup. I'm excited to see what he can do in the postseason, and that big game experience can really help because I think we saw in the playoffs last year against the Dodgers, yes, we were outmatched and everything, and Gavin Lux has big game experience, but it's not the same as Gino, who has that big power bat and can kind of change the game with one swing. So that was good. And then for all the other haters too, if you don't like my Santiago Espinal takes, Luis Arias, 625 batting average in the World Baseball Classic.
I knew it.
I
knew it.
So,
one of those home runs barely got out, bro. He pimped that home run, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this bat throw." It barely went out.
I don't care. Give me the Venezuelan national team. I wanted everyone. I wanted Suarez. I wanted Arias. Salvador Perez is teaching. He's teaching the young guy Duno for us. Michael Garcia, Ronald Acuna. They're a really good team.
They are a good team. They are good.
I don't know why they have Arias batting third with his limited power, but 2 home runs. They're
I mean, they see what you see in him. They see what you see in him.
That's right. But hey, if Matt McClain plays like this, then I will say, hey, I'm wrong. We shouldn't have signed a guy to take your spot. I do think that there are was worth a conversation about possibly taking him out of the lineup. Even if in hindsight it might look bad after last year, I think you do have to do everything in your power to make the team better. And I'll give Nick Kroll a lot of credit. He did, and I mean, maybe we're still a bat away. We'll see when we get to the season. Maybe we're still a bullpen pitcher away. But yeah, I had to point that out because this is the only time I think all year I'll be able to brag about it. Because even if he hits 300 and everyone who said they don't want him is going to be like, oh, I still don't want him, and that's fine. But I had to point it out because if you haven't watched the World Baseball Classic, again, there's some Reds in there. It's a lot of fun. Even if you don't want to watch the early rate stages, it is a very imbalanced event. There's a lot of teams that don't have a lot of talent, and there's a lot of teams who do have a lot of talent, and there's not much of a middle. But it's going to get heat up here, and I'm excited to see, like I said, see these Reds guys, see Gino, see Edwin Arroyo if he gets some playing time in some key spots, see if Kyle Nicholas can turn it around. It's been fun and a really good event. I'm really happy they're doing it.
Yeah, USA is 1 win away from making it, by the way, to the next round. So far, the only teams locked are Japan and Korea. Was a little surprised, a little sad that I thought Australia was guaranteed because I thought they had beaten Korea, but apparently not. So Korea makes it in. We got Puerto Rico, Cuba. Big upset for Canada, by the way, Joe, this morning, I believe. So kind of crazy there. Dominican Republic and Venezuela looking like they are well on their way to making it, unless Venezuela drops to the Netherlands. Or I guess technically Israel can still win their last 2 games and make it in as well. Doesn't feel likely, but could happen. So, yeah, we'll have some good baseball for them coming up this week as well. I believe it all finishes up at the end of the week, Joe, or is it the end of next week?
The championship game is Tuesday the 17th.
Okay, so a week from tomorrow. So, yeah. So it'll be wrapping up here quickly. It has been really enjoyable to watch, keeping track of. Kyle Schwarber, big home run. In their last game, Aaron Judge has been hitting the crap out of the ball. it was funny. Great Britain got out to a 1-0 start, and I was like, wait, are we, like, is all good? And then they walked in like 4 runs, and yeah, this team's poised. But they're about to start facing some good stuff. Japan's good, I think. Dominican Republic, Venezuela are good. I don't know about anybody else, but those are the good teams.
One more thing, Rob, because it's topical. Stuart Fairchild's
Oh yeah,
and he's killing it. I don't know. We need to get
hit a grand slam.
Put him in a Chinese Taipei uniform because I think he is 2 home runs now. He's killing it. I don't know. That's like the fun part of this. Like, it's still unbalanced. I don't understand why some people are on some countries. And some of it has to do with heritage. Some of it has to do with where you're born. It's messed up, but it's a fun, chaotic event. And I know there's a lot of talk about having players play in the Olympics in 2020, having actual Major League Baseball players. I don't know if that's going to be something they can do, just middle of the season type of thing.
I doubt it.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's going to happen, but this is as close as you get. In soccer, the World Cup is more important than the Olympics. They don't have soccer in the World Cup for above 23-year-old people. It's just you play the World Cup. This is what baseball has, and I think it's at a perfect time to get people excited for baseball for the next year. And a really good event, despite the quirkiness of it, with some of the teams being really bad and some being really good.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see who comes out on top, but the United States are still not out of their pool. Mexico, Italy, and the United States are all 2-0. So poor Great Britain and Brazil have just gotten the snot beat out of them. So we will have to see which of those 3 will ultimately make it in. Mexico, USA, I believe, is tonight, Joe, at 8 p.m. So very excited about that. Guys, again, we're super excited about Reds baseball, so make sure you guys lock it in here. There's some good things coming up here very soon for the Reds. Let's hope that the injuries, stay far away, and that Hunter Greene is healthy for very soon after opening day. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.